Hey, you're listening to Soul Psych with Shlomi Balsam
and Efraim Stauber.
Right. So how does this relate to Hashem? Right. What's our conditioning with Hashem? That's the really question. Why don't we trust Hashem? So my suggestion is based on this. Well, if our interactions, if our experiences with Hashem was like it is with cars, in other words, good, we don't get into car accidents, right? I mean, I Baruch Hashem haven't been in one, right? That I can remember, right? Yeah. So if that would be then I would trust Hashem effortlessly, right? If I don't trust Hashem, it's because I guess my experience is like a mixed bag. Hashem doesn't take care of me the way I want Him to.
You can't say Hashem paid you late.
I'm not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
Right? So first of all, maybe what I'm saying is dangerous stuff, and I hope bolt of lightning doesn't come and hit me. But I want to be I hope it's okay if I be very real with you in these conversations. I want to get authentic and real and down and dirty and say, here's what I think is going on. Our experience with Hashem is a mixed bag because we don't feel Hashem taking care of us. Now I see you're furrowing your brow, and let me explain. I guess I explained before you throw me off the roof here. What if I feel like this person needs a shidduch and doesn't get a shidduch? What if I think that this young person why does this person deserve to die? How come this innocent person is suffering so much? There's so much evil in the world? It's hard for me to see Hashem taking care of the world, taking care of us, taking care of the Jewish people. So I could tell myself all the things in my brain, but I'm experiencing that Hashem is not taking care of. I'm not allowed to say these words, but you know what? What I'm experiencing is
a car accident.
Hashem didn't take care of those nice people, and they just died. Right? So that's why we don't trust Hashem, because this is the bad news. Before we get to the good news, here's the bad news. The bad news is that our experience with Hashem has enough negative in it. He didn't pay us on time. Enough times for us not to trust Him automatically. Right? That's the bad news. Okay, but here's the good news.
At least from our cubicle, we've been experiencing.
Oh, bingo. Yeah. That's what it is. From our cubicle. In other words, what are we paying attention to? We're usually paying attention to the stuff that we don't have and that we need. Like I don't have a shidduch, I don't have money, I don't have health. So Hashem, I need bitachon. That's where bitachon comes in. But we all know already that we're ingrates. We don't appreciate. The whole gratitude movement is like we don't appreciate that we have eyes and that we have mouth. We don't feel that way every moment. Like when you make birchas hashachar and you say pokeach Efraim, I'm really an iver, I'm blind. Hashem like. Imagine if we did that every morning. We enjoyed our eyes. We did Pokeach Efraim, right?
Why don't we?
Well, we're supposed to. That's what the brach is, right?
Yeah.
This is part of the Bitachon boot camp thing that I did, is where you actually do that, and it's part of I think what Chazal want us to do. We don't have eyesight. We're still Ivrim. According to Chazal, we're still Ivrim, and Hashem is Pokeach Efraim. So imagine viewing yourself. That's funny. Viewing yourself as an Iver, right? I'm a blind person. I don't know how to see. I don't have, and Hashem please give me the gift of sight. Oh my gosh, thank you. Like that, it's a scary exercise to do, by the way, to really pretend that you're blind. Close your eyes, see black, and spend 30 seconds imagining that you're blind. It's really scary.
I try walking down the street.
Don't.
No, it's terrifying. It's immediately terrifying. I don't know where my next step's taking me.
Yeah. Well, first try it in your chair. Right. And same thing with Zokif Kfufim and Malbash Harumim and all those things, right? So, what I want to talk about here is, let's take gratitude to the next level. Okay, the fact that we don't have gratitude, is bad enough, but we're the biggest losers. Because if we would be experiencing gratitude, what our life experience, what our Hashem experience, our interaction with Hashem would be 99.99999 good and a tiny percentage bad. The reason why our ratio of interaction with Hashem is negative is because we don't have gratitude for everything that He is doing for us, and we are disproportionately paying attention to what He's not doing for us. So our experience is kind of negative.
We just live in that 1%.
we live in that. Yeah, we live in the negative too much. Well, I don't know how much the percentages are, but it's a disproportionate amount of attention we're giving to what he's not doing for me the way I need him to do it for me. But if we would just be realistic, in other words, when I say realistic, I mean like imagine paying attention to your knees and your ankles and all the parts of you that don't hurt. Like Hashem is doing like bajillions of things for us. Like I just had an example this week where my neighbor left their fridge outside and all the meat spoiled. Like our whole building was smelling. Like we couldn't live because the building smelled so bad. And I didn't even realize that could mess us up. My neighbor's fridge. You know how many things have to be working for my life to be livable? That's usually working completely. I'm not usually grateful for my neighbor's fridge not defrosting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Right.
But all that has to happen is one little thing goes off, and like we are dependent. There's a war in Ukraine. There's corona in China. There's the smallest thing. Suddenly nothing works.
It's so fragile.
Yeah. Right. Now imagine if we could get even a little better at appreciating life. So our experience with Hashem would be more realistic, and then the negative experiences would go where they belong, 0.0000%. That's the purpose of the Hashem loves me story. I say to my kids, "Hey, tell me something that happened this week that you were really stressed out about, that worked out for you at the end. No, the stuff don't work out, but tell me something." And I kind of redo it like in a kind of like a therapy kind of way, like braise the affect, like go into. Oh my gosh, it's usually about a test that they didn't study for, It's usually kind of like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about this test. Like, okay, we'll talk about your study habits later. Like, I have to like not get distracted. So, I stole my brother's ice cream and he was about to catch me. Okay, what's it? We'll have to talk about that part. But, you know what I mean? Like, I think they use it a little bit to get away. That's where they tell me stuff. They don't want it. They know they won't get in trouble because it's like. Then I heard about it. So I got an F on my report card. Okay, and I was really worried that you would kill me, Daddy.
And then,
right.
I'm good, right?
Exactly. So, but the way it works is all like, okay, so what happened? Oh my God, I didn't study for the test, and the teacher said if you get one more bad mark, I'm gonna, and your dad's gonna kill you, all of that, right?
Yeah.
And then I come to school, and that teacher didn't come to school that day because, whatever. Right? So how did it feel when you were really stressed out? And how did it feel when that really wasn't that nice? Who gave you that feeling? Well, Hashem, does everything, so he made that work out for you, right? Why did he do that for you? Well, he loves me, right? Yeah, because he loves you. Isn't it nice to know that Hashem loves you and he gets it. He wants you to have that relief feeling when your teacher doesn't come to. He did that for you. And you just enjoy that. Then you have a relationship with Hashem.
That's purely feeling. That's emotional. That's not logical.
That's the point. That's the point. It's an experiential thing. You already know the logic. We talked about that in the Hashkafa Shir. Mm-hmm. But that's not where people struggle. They struggle with this young lady saying, I have anxiety. So what I want to answer, which I can't really respond in an email, maybe we could send her this podcast, right? Which is like, you need to develop a relationship with Hashem outside the problems that you have. Because I don't think I can help you within the problem. With the lady, with the daughter, with seminaries, like, I hear that you need this thing, but to the extent that this is taking over your life, you can't build a relationship around a problem. I do that in couples counseling. And a couple comes in, and conflict management, is not the basis of a marriage. Marriage is not built on difficult conversations. You have to have, love. You have to have good times. People don't get married because they want shalom bayis. We need shalom. We need shalom with our enemies. We need shalom with the Arabs.
Yeah.
You don't need shalom with your spouse. You get married because you're hoping for wonderful things. Love, for example, love. Connection.
I asked the client this week. I said, he's preparing for marriage. And I said, when you think of marriage, what do you think? He said, fighting.
No, oh my God.
Oh my God, right.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's not...
But that's always experienced also.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
But he's actually seen that 1%. He's seen that.
Wow.
Yeah, have you ever seen there's a professor that comes into class and he has a big whiteboard and he draws a little black dot in the middle. He says, kids, what do you see?
Right, sure.
We see the black dot.
Right.
And what you're saying is that by focus Him. It doesn't. It's not hard. It's not hard to come up with these. Thank you Hashem, Baruch Hashem. These stories. What do you call them?
Hashem loves me stories.
Hashem loves me stories. It's like 5 seconds to come up with one.
And I always get that guest who says,
live in the white.
Yeah. There's always like that guest who's new at the Shabbos table who says like, gets annoyed by this. Hashem loves me story. Well, I'll tell you a different story. And I have to explain to him, we're not here to prove Hashem loves us. That's not the purpose of these stories. We already know that because, I asked him, do you know that outside? Well, yeah, he knows that. So we're here just to pay attention to it.
Nice. Right? We know, basically, we know we're good.
I tried to say this to my mom once when they got like a 62 on the test. I was like, could you pay attention to the ones I got right?
It's like more than half.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I got 62 of them right. Nah.
Didn't work. You should have tried it Friday night by the Thank You Hashem.
Well, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is it a useful perspective?
It's really just perspective, right? It's living in that perspective.
Yeah, it's right. It's perspective, but perspective is the beginning. What's useful, what I think is useful about it is it's like exercises. It's to put your attention to pay attention to the white, to pay attention to all
the love, the reason why we got married.
Yeah, to build a relationship with Hashem outside the problems, and then the problems have a way of dissipating because you put them in context. If you focus on the problem, you focus on the black dot. I love your example. If you focus just on the black dot, it gets bigger and bigger. You know what it's like? It's like the teenager with the black head. The pimple. The acne. Right. So you have one pimple, one black head pimple, right? And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to this chasana, and I've got this. And he's looking in the mirror and he's got this like ugly pimple. And he looks in the mirror, all he sees is that pimple. Yeah. He's like, I'm a pimple walking on my shoulder. On my shoulders is like a pimple. Like that's all.
Am I gonna be a pimple or am I wearing makeup tonight? Those are my two options.
That's it. Like they just see the pimple, and because it actually gets bigger. That's one of those psychological concepts that where they have the way they say it is where attention goes, energy flows. So when you put your attention, your whole energy goes there, and actually it seems larger for you. I learned this once maybe I shouldn't admit this, but in a motorcycling class. Sure. Is it okay if I say that? we took a driver's ed, me and a bunch of other guys in Lakewood. On Fridays, we went to this guy who taught us. We got a motorcycle license from the state of New Jersey, and this guy Mike, who had a handlebar mustache, he's really cool dude. And he taught us about when you're riding a bike. That's what he called motorcycles bikes. It was very good. When you ride your bike, okay, so you have when you like turning, okay. So where should you look? So don't look, because you go wherever you look. So if you look at the floor, you're going to go down on the floor. He says, I want you to look outside the turn. So if you've got this, we had to practice that. Don't look at the place right in front of you. Look at the exit of your turn.
The destination.
Yeah, at the exit point of the turn, and then your body will naturally take you there. But if you look, or another example, if you got two rocks, and you want to go between the rocks, so people have a tendency of looking at the rocks. Oh, I don't want to hit the rock. I don't hit the rock. Then you hit the rock. Yeah. What you got to do is look at the space between the rock, which takes control. And then your body your subconscious mechanism will guide you through effortlessly. Right? So where attention goes, energy flows. And the same thing is with Bitachon. Here we are using psychology with Bitachon. Right? So if you pay attention to the gratitude, to the relationship with Hashem outside the problem, then that becomes bigger. Then the problem's going to go into perspective. But if you're just looking at the problem, like, I don't know how to help you. Like that's what I want to say about that.
As far as validation, if we're really going to pull in psychology, we have to have some validation. The email is like people see the black dot. That is human nature. What you're discussing here is going against that.
Yes.
Really going against.
So if this would be a counseling session, we'd have to probably spend a few weeks letting the person know that we get it, because otherwise you're not going to be ready to hear this message. Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, you don't understand the pain that I'm in. So it's true.
The black dot is real. It's there. Like bad things do happen.
And it
car
hurts
happen
like crazy. Like that. I'm happy that you mentioned this, because that has to be respected and validated and empathized with. And when I'm stuck in my stuff, fucking fancy stuff. Yeah, when you're stuck, you're stuck. You can't. It's hard. You just can't get out of it. At the same time, we have to know this. the way we do get, and I would look at real relationships for an example, for a model of this. When you get mad, I mean, I heard someone, I was talking to a client today who said, like, I hate her. He said those words. Okay, he was really thinking about how much pain she causes him. I don't know if I say who she is, right? How much pain she causes him. And in the moment of that pain, he just is experiencing hate. Now, while that's going on, I'm not going to say, oh, well, you should pay attention to all the positives. Like, that's not going to happen.
This Pirkei Avos, no? Or Levaya?
Yeah. B'shas al teratzis chavei b'shas kaisei al tenachme b'shas k'shemeisei mutu lefanav. Right. Yeah. You know what? It's, as we said, it's all in the Torah. Avada, everything's in the Torah. All the chacham b'bayim, of course, the havdil is in the Torah. Chacham is Torah.
Rav Tzaddik says depression is when you can't see past. You can't see anyway. You're totally, because it really hurts. It can be destroying, demolishing, and everything else disappears. Human nature is, when you fall into depression, there's no other light. And he says that's what Bitachon is. When you go in there and you just expand his world a tiny bit. Because once you get a tiny bit out of the bad, out of the hurt, out of the tragedy, then it's endless. It's endless good. I mean, in comparative.
Okay, so I don't usually say this, but thank you for eavesdropping in our conversation. And please eavesdrop some more and click at that place that you need to click. Where on the top, it's on the bottom. You know where it is, man. Do it. I'll see you soon.
Bye.